Hello everyone, welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV, and Steve Bruce has lost the dressing room. The title tells it itself. Steve Bruce has lost the dressing room with an outrageous story which has been reported by the Daily Mail and Craig Hope. A massive altercation with Matt Ritchie on Tuesday. Looks like Steve Bruce is really hanging on to his job now. Let's get straight into it. Tuesday, a couple of days after the game on Saturday, obviously Wolves' goal comes from a lack of instruction, it seems. Now, is this from Steve Bruce? Is this from Graham Jones? Is this from Matt Ritchie itself? It's really messy. From that substitution, obviously we all know what happens. Wolves go on to score. And there's real confusion with Isaac Hayden dropping from centre midfield to right back, and Joe Willock and Jacob Murphy. It just seems like everyone was really confused and lost in who was playing where, and ultimately that gave Wolves their goal. And it seemed that Steve Bruce digged out Matt Ritchie in particular on Saturday when speaking to the press about this. Now, for me, I think that's poor man management to start with. If you've got an issue with a player, keep it in-house. Don't tell the press. Just say, really frustrating night. On another day, the keeper saves it and we move on. But it's really poor from a personal preference for me. I would rather Steve Bruce just keeps it indoors. No one needs to know that. I think that's really poor for a man that's had experience of being in front of the cameras for maybe 20, 30 years. But we move on. And on later on that evening in the Daily Mail, Matt Ritchie tried to ring Steve Bruce and sort it out over the phone because he wasn't very happy. Steve Bruce says, no, we'll leave it till Tuesday. And by Tuesday, Steve Bruce is in his office, and Steve Agnew, one of the assistant managers, says to Matt Ritchie, oh, the gaffer will see you now. He says, no, you can come out here and tell him to stop being a coward. And this has obviously made Steve Bruce irate, angry, and comes out and is allegedly, easy for me to say, barged over towards Matt Ritchie. Matt Ritchie didn't retaliate, and it became a bit of a war of words. And I'll just look at what has been precisely said. He says Steve Bruce was a coward, basically. Matt Ritchie called him a coward. He says, after all I've done for you, excuse my language for the next bit, you've done fuck all for me, says Matt Ritchie. And it's a bit of a war of words there. And yeah, it wasn't really clever from either party, but more particularly for Steve Bruce. Not good at all. And now this little next bit, which the Mail have picked up on, which I think is really interesting actually. Steve Bruce goes back on to Matt Ritchie and says, what are you going to do? Tell Lee Charnley. Now, the Mail are reporting that there's several players that have kind of mentioned their displeasure towards Steve Bruce. Now, if I'm Lee Charnley, do I tell my boss? Which is effectively Mike Ashley. Several players now are saying they don't like working with this guy, and this can only go one way. And you look at where we are on the table, Fulham play Thursday night against Spurs. We could be in the bottom three by the time we play West Brom on Sunday. Huge game on Amazon. You can actually get Amazon for free through Newcastle Fans TV. The link will be in the description for that. It's all messy. It's all really messy, and it's the worst possible time. It's the worst possible time for this to happen. You know, the fans, I would say 95% minimum of fans want Steve Bruce to go. The players look like they've had enough as well. In particular, the likes of Carl Darlow seems to have been leaked out by potentially Steve Bruce himself, allegedly, that he wasn't going to be in goal for the Wolves game. Whether he wanted Carl Darlow in goal or not, it still hasn't been done correctly. The press knew, the fans knew, before Carl Darlow knew. Now that's wrong. Regardless of who won in goal for Newcastle, that's wrong. So that hasn't been handled well. The team have sided with Matt Ritchie, according to this article, and that says a lot. If the team has sided with Matt Ritchie, Steve Bruce is a man waiting for the sack. He really is. And they're saying also that they want Graham Jones to take over. Now, as soon as this appointment's happened, that seems to me that they don't have enough trust in the coaching staff at the minute. And it seems to me that it's just a matter of time before Steve Bruce will be sacked and Graham Jones will be coming until at least the end of the season. And maybe it's best for all parties that gets done as soon as possible. Because if we're in a position that we're in the bottom 3 after the West Brom game, which could happen, it could happen. You need to do what's best for the club. Mike actually needs to do what's best for his investment. And it's just really, really fascinating now because we all want Newcastle to succeed. And I think the best way for Newcastle to succeed is not having Steve Bruce as manager for all sorts of reasons. You can talk about the football on the pitch, the tactics, the selection, there's all sorts. But if he's lost the dressing room, which he has done, this is the final straw. It really is. I don't know how he can get out of this one, but yeah, it's not good. It's not good at all. The article goes on to say that the lads in the WhatsApp groups are, taking the mick out of Steve Bruce because of his comments, and he's saying that he never blames himself. It's always somebody else, and he got rattled on Friday. He got rattled on Friday with the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer incident where he was laughing and joking after the match. I asked the question: does he actually want to be Newcastle manager? I don't think he does anymore. And I said that last week. I don't think he enjoys being Newcastle manager. I don't think he's up for the job. I think the job's too big for him. The job was too big for him at Aston Villa. And Lee has also included a clip from The Last Word. If you remember The Last Word, highly recommend you watch it. And he went on about Steve Bruce and his position at the football club.
There's a clear lack of communication, which has cost a goal. Have a listen.
I'm not too sure. I'm going to go in and speak about that now because I'm not sure myself.
The direction, which unfortunately Matty didn't get it on quick enough, the instructions of how we were doing it. But when you look at the goal, we should stop the cross. And when the goalkeeper looks at it, again, probably he'll think, could I have done better? So, yeah, it was a frustration for all of us, but we'll have to concede that one and make sure that our instructions will do it from the sideline.
Interesting. Jamal Lascelles came out and spoke to Sky Sports. He had no idea. He's got no idea. So you heard him say there, I'm going to go in the dressing room to find out. I mean, what the fuck is going on? I mean, that is just diabolical. The stuff with Graham Jones on the touchline telling him to fuck off, I think that's nothing in it. I don't think that's got nothing in it. So I'm going to squash that. Now in that. But with this, it's clear the captain has no idea what shape or who's playing where, what formation. And then we've conceded a fucking goal. We've just cost ourselves 2 points. And Steve Bruce has then come out and digged out Matt Ritchie, saying, well, it's Matt Ritchie who hasn't came on. So next time, because obviously you see when you see substitutions, the games you watch tomorrow, the games you watch on Monday, you always see players pointing and doing this, and we're going to go to a 3, or we're going to you're playing there. You see that all the time when subs come on, don't you? You do. But Steve Bruce has totally got that wrong because he has to take the flak. He's the management. So whether Matt Ritchie's a professional, right? You would never think Matt Ritchie would deliberately go out and not tell some of the team or his captain or whoever what shape we're playing. Matt Ritchie's not that type of bloke, man. We've had him on the channel before last year. Nah. You really think Matt Ritchie, yes, he hasn't played for 7 weeks, is going to run on that pitch and not tell anybody the new system and the new tactics? Nah. Not having that. Not having that one bit. That's a load of bollocks, that. There's been a miscommunication, and that has to fall, unfortunately, down to the manager, because that's the way it is. You have to take the flak. You get the wins, you get the positivity, you get the losses, you get the negativity. We get the draws. It's kind of neutral, isn't it? Don't get me wrong, we played well tonight for large chunks, but there's massive communication there that has cost us, and that could relegate us. It really could. It could relegate us because it come the end of the season, if we go down on goal difference, or because we've dropped 2 points because of some daft communication wasn't passed over.
What do we think? Do we think Steve Bruce's position is under threat? Do we think he's going to get sacked? Do you think he's going to stay because Mike Ashley doesn't want to get rid of him? There's so many different theories to this, and it's just going to be such a tense couple of days now, because Sunday is a massive game. There will be a preview before the weekend as well. So make sure you get your thoughts. If you can like this video, that would be greatly appreciated. And get in the comments, just put in the comments either Bruce in, Bruce out, and tell us why. I wonder what the reaction would be. But yeah, like and subscribe to Newcastle Fans TV, and we'll see you all very, very soon.